So entrepreneurship, this is something you see people talk a lot about on the interwebs and the YouTubes. So before I started coding, I had my first business. My first business had nothing to do with technology. I used to have a water purification and rare fish import business, dry foods, hybrid bacterial strains, nothing to do with technologies. And I built my first website in '94 for that business. So I have a good deal of experience in terms of business outside of tech, outside of what I do now. Let's talk about entrepreneurship and the reality of it. I see a lot of people out there selling these get-rich-quick schemes. Oh, you do this, you do drop shipping, or you do Amazon affiliate sales. Some people make money with that, but let me just say this. I encourage you, if you have the idea to become an entrepreneur, I encourage you to do it. The younger, the better. You want to do this type of stuff when you're young, and you don't have much to lose. If you're in your 20s and your 30s, you don't have a wife and kids, and that's the time to try some risky business. As you get older, you got to pull risk off the table. So as you get older, closer to retirement, because as you get older, you get old like me, 169 years old, you don't have the energy and you don't have the runway, if you will, the time and years to mess up. Because trust me, if you become an entrepreneur, unless you're one of the lucky ones who rolls 100 in the first time at bat, you're going to make mistakes. You're going to make mistakes. Here are some sobering facts about business ownership that I think you find interesting. 80% of businesses, 85%, fail within the first few years. That's normal. And it's not a big deal. Entrepreneurs who are experienced understand that, they embrace it, you know. You got to deal with it. So when somebody tries to sell you, you're going to make it and you get rich as an entrepreneur, take it with a grain of salt. Again, I'm not saying don't do it. I'm saying you got to be cautious. I think if I were to give a couple of rules about entrepreneurship, number one, you have to be persistent, consistent. You have to not give up. Number two, you have to be very adaptable. So an entrepreneur is somebody who is confident. You're confident in yourself, but at the same time, you have humility. You are willing to challenge your own ideas about something and throw them out the window if you feel that they're no good. Just, you know, this idea I had about this business or this product, I thought it was the best. And then you go to market and you realize nobody wants it. It's crap. You got to have the self-confidence to admit I was wrong. Next, get it out of there. So entrepreneurs are very adaptable. They're very adaptable. They're willing to, based on evidence, change their minds. Software developers are the same as well. Software developers, you can't be in love. One of the things I had to my Ruby joke, I say, don't learn Ruby. I'm not making fun of Ruby. Well, maybe I'm making fun of Ruby a little bit. What I'm actually making fun of are people who become religious zealots about a particular framework or language. That's a noob's point of view. An expert, a master developer, looks at all the languages and frameworks as tool sets to use. And also, you know, you may change your ideas about things as time progresses. But anyway, so you want to be consistent, persistent. You got to be adaptable. This applies to business, entrepreneurship, and it applies to software development as well. And one thing you don't want to do is overextend yourself. You don't want to reach and fall. So one of the big mistakes that people make in business is that they think their idea is unbelievable and they spend all their money and they take a huge risk, they quit their job, and then they find out that it's a failure. You have to assume that you're going to have a lot of bumps in the road. Even if you have a good idea, it may take you a while to figure out how to execute on that idea in an effective way, okay? Same thing with development as well. You don't want to burn yourself out as a developer. I'd done that, by the way, back in, when was it? I guess the late 90s or early 2000s, I went through a burnout because I was like a mad developer. Loved to write code. People would go out partying Friday night and I'd be working at home on my dating site. I love that dating site. I've talked about that in other videos. But you don't want to burn yourself out because eventually if you code too much, meaning 8 hours a day, every day, no breaks, eventually you're going to burn yourself out. And when you hit burnout, it's bad. because it's usually very difficult to recover from burnout. It's better to pace yourself. In the end, you're going to get a lot more work done. Same thing with learning how to code, learning anything. I've been working with schools for over a decade, developing curriculum and software. I have my own SaaS software used by schools, many districts today. So I understand education as well. I understand how people learn, how the brain works. Again, same thing. If you push too hard, it's like training at the gym. If you train at the gym every day and you don't give yourself time to rest and your body to recuperate, you're not going to have gains. You're going to have losses. You're not going to make progress. You're going to lose ground. Same thing with learning to code. So if you're learning to code, you want to be consistent, but you want to be reasonable. You want to give yourself reasonable time frames. You want to do minimum 20 minutes a day, maximum 3 to 4 hours a day, 4 to 5 days a week. Then take a couple of days off. You got to give your brain time to assimilate the new information, the new way of thinking, so the new neural connections are created in your brain so that you get that understanding. What I like to do, by the way, I'm a autodidact, self-learner all my life. And one of the things I like to do is identify what I call universal truths. They're kind of like, what was that movie? The Avengers movie. It's like the Infinity Stones. These universal truths are truths that I've identified in many different disciplines. So I'll give you a very basic, simple example. Balance. In martial arts, you learn balance is super important. I used to do a lot of martial arts. If you don't have balance, you're not going to be able to throw punches or kicks with authority. You won't be able to grapple well. You get killed. You have to have balance. In psychology, that was my major. If you don't have a nice, stable, balanced mind, you're going to have trouble. Business, you got to balance the books. You have a balanced lifestyle. So balance is one of those universal truths. What I do is by looking at the different disciplines, the different things I studied over the years, over the decades, I found a whole bunch of these universal truths. And so we were talking about consistency, adaptability, and not overextending. That's a universal truth in business and in training and software development. It's kind of cool. I'll conclude with this and then we'll do the Q&A. So Warren Buffett, one of the richest and most successful investors in history, he's been asked on more than one occasion, what's the best investment you can make? And he says, yourself. So especially if you're young, especially if you don't have cash, you want to invest in yourself. You want to keep improving your skills. Now, as you're on this channel, I assume you're into coding and development. Coding and development is part of it, no question, but there's also soft skills. The ability to communicate well, to write well, to have empathy for others. Believe it or not, it's very good for business, right? To be calm and relaxed, be able to deal with pressure. These are all skills. To be a calm and a relaxed person is a skill set. To handle pressure, grace under pressure, as they like to say, that's a skill set. You have to develop these things. We have people in my mentoring program, as an example, they're good coders, but they're having trouble finding jobs because they don't have good communication skills. So I help them with that. We have a course. I developed a course specifically for that to help them there. And they start developing good communication skills. Bob's your uncle, and they get a job. Other people are the opposite. I know other people who are great communicators, but they had to work on their technical skills, and they get that going, and boom, Bob's your uncle. So as a teacher, just a little tip, when you're training people, whether it be martial arts or business or coding, whatnot, the good teacher is able to identify the student and say, okay, this student is strong here, they're weak here, we got to help them out this area over here, and we bring that up, and then it establishes the student so that they can proceed with some success. So yeah, I think that pretty much covers that. So we're going to jump into some Q&A.